Don't worry, it's very precious to be able to be in your presence to talk and get your wisdom. So thank you so much for that. My question is related to what you had said yesterday and has been written about and also experienced in samadhi, the appearance or the sensation that the mind or the consciousness is separate from the body. So even though in samadhi, that's an experience I've had, but when I see it in my work, I notice that people's consciousness is very connected to their physical state and well-being, and so when somebody's ill or when somebody is well, the consciousness and the state of mind seems to go together. And I know that could be because these are people with defilements, so they're very dependent on the conditions in their mind which come from the conditions of their body. But it's also perhaps seen in the Sangha where when accomplished monks get older, their faculties, their mental faculties perhaps diminish with their physical state. So I guess maybe I'm not completely understanding what is meant by the separation, and I know intuitively that the consciousness transcends the physical state, but in my work and all around me there seem to be observations that state the opposite, perhaps.
That's due to delusion. Delusion is the one that direct the mind to become attached to the physical things and to take the physical thing as themselves. See, the mind has no form. There's no form. It doesn't know itself. It has the body, and it uses the body to do everything for it. So it assumes that the body is itself, and everything else that connected to the body belongs to him or her. But in fact, they are just physical things that the mind cannot possess forever, because all physical things are transient, are impermanent. Everything rises and ceases. So when you get what you want, you're happy. But then when you lose what you want, you become unhappy, you become sad. So the problem is to how to live and have what you have and lose what you have and not being sad by it. If you have wisdom, then you won't be sad. If you still need to use the physical, like the body, like the Buddha, he became enlightened at the age of 35, and the next 45 years he still uses the body to give discourses, to give talks to people. So he uses the body, but he doesn't cling to the body. He understands that one day his body will crumble and fall and die. So his mind is quite well prepared for that situation, because he got rid of that delusion that caused his mind to cling to desire for the body to last forever. And when there is that desire in anybody's mind, that desire will bring suffering to that mind. But the Buddha understood this problem, so he got rid of the problem, got rid of his delusion, understanding that he is the mind, he's not the body, and that the body is temporary, that it's gonna have to crumble and fall and die one day. And so he has no attachment, no desire for it to be otherwise. When there's no desire for it, for things or for the body or other things to be otherwise, then you won't be sad when they happen.
So one of the things that is often advised a person who's dying is to keep their mind in a positive state and to think of perhaps the Dhamma or the Buddha's qualities. But it's often noticed, at least in my experience, that when people are dying, they're in a state of unconsciousness, so the volitional aspect of the mind is not active anymore. So so how does one help, or when somebody's dying, if they don't have volition, which they can't actually purposely direct their mind to a positive state, then how does that work?
Well, they have to do that before they become incapacitated. That's why you have to do it now when you're still strong and healthy, when you can still control your thoughts. So you train your mind to think in the way that you will not cling to the body. And so when whatever happens to the body, the mind will just leave the body alone.
And if someone's not trained during their life, then it's too late in a way, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do to help them, really.
You can give them injection, let them die quicker. That's what they want.
So what is the state of consciousness after death? I'm assuming that there is no volition in the consciousness when it's outside the body. Is it an instinctual kind of consciousness?
It's like falling into a dream. When you go to sleep, your mind become under the control of your karma. Your past karma will take over. If you're still conscious, you can still use mindfulness to control your mind. But once you fall asleep or you die, you like go into another different mode of existence. Then it's the karma that you have done, have accumulated. They will then be the one to decide how your mind will behave. If you have positive karma, good karma, your mind will behave in a calm and peaceful manner. If your mind is being driven by your bad karma, then it will be driven in a irrational, in a chaotic fashion.
So that's the importance of sila and virtue, right?
The importance for the whole thing, sila, samadhi, and panya. The goal is to be able to control your mind while you're still alive, and when you die, the mind will then be able to control itself by the virtue of the way we train it to behave. Like when you go to sleep, you sometimes have good dreams and bad dreams. Those are the results of the karma that you have done. They were the one that will cause you to have either good dreams or bad dreams.
Lumpu, one of the things that has been mentioned, even Lungta Mahaprabhu had talked about, is the state of Mahasati. So is that something is that a volitional activity of the mind, like lay people, when we try to be mindful, we're constantly working on it? Or does it happen to be a new faculty the mind develops after enlightenment?
No, it's the level of mindfulness that you develop. When you first develop your mindfulness, is still come and go, not always there. But after you have developed it long enough, then your mindfulness will become automatic. Mahasati means automatic. You don't have to force it to come into being. It's always there, constantly guiding your mind.
Thank you.
I would just like to thank you very much for your teachings. They've been very helpful. On some days, I can enter jhana fairly easily, but I'm wondering, what is the process of contemplation?
Contemplation is teaching the mind the truth that the mind hasn't yet grasped or understand, such as impermanence. The mind has been trained to look at things as permanent, has been trained to look at things as conducive to happiness, and been trained to think that anything that it comes into possession does belong to it. But this is contradiction to the truth. The truth is everything is impermanent. Everything will bring you unhappiness sooner or later. Everything doesn't belong to you. So you have to reverse the process of the mind The mind keeps thinking everything. Once it's permanent. Once you have a relationship, it's gonna last forever. It's gonna give you happiness forever. It's the person that you have belongs to you forever. But that isn't the case. So you have to forewarn the mind that this is not the case. It's a mistaken understanding that we have to correct. That sooner or later things will fall apart. Relationship will break up. Yeah. Person you love might leave you, or might die, might go away, or whatever happened, or you might leave them. So this is something that people don't think about. See? So you have to contemplate, to constantly remind your mind that of the truth. Once you are forewarned when things happen, then you can be you can accept the truth. Yeah. But if you're not forewarned, when things happen, people tend to deny. They cannot accept them. And when they deny the truth, they become sad.
How would one start contemplation? Contemplating the body, or contemplating the impermanence of relationships?
Everything that you have to contemplate that they are all impermanent. Anything that you cling to, you have to teach your mind that you shouldn't cling to them, because one day, sooner or later, either you or them will have to go their separate ways.
So I'm just beginning a meditation retreat here in Thailand, and I'm wondering if I do, let's say, a 2.5-hour meditation session, and I'm working on developing strong mindfulness, hopefully. How long should I stay in the state of samadhi or jhana before I begin the contemplation piece?
As long as possible. First you want to develop a strong jhana, because if you have strong jhana, it will help you in your contemplation. Because when your mind becomes peaceful, your defilement become weakened. So your defilement won't pull your mind to go think about things that you should be thinking about. And then you can pull your mind to think about the thing that you should be thinking about impermanence, suffering and not self, rather than thinking about permanent and happiness and belonging to yourself. So this is a struggle between the two forces, the forces of Dhamma and the force of defilement. If your mind is not calm, then the force of your defilement is very strong. But once you calm the mind down, then the force of the defilement become weakened. Then you can instigate the force of Dhamma, build up the force of Dhamma by contemplating on the impermanent nature of things that you possess. Your body, your wealth, your friends, your family, whatever you have, they are all the same. They are all impermanent, subjected to change. They don't belong to you. When you leave them or they leave you, you will become sad.
How can one know the difference between contemplation, which is analytical thinking, and true wisdom?
True wisdom is when you can get rid of your suffering. When you lost someone you love, and when you have wisdom, you can cut your suffering right away. But if just pure contemplation, and you're still sad about your loss, then this is not. That's why that's what I spoke today about the 3 levels of wisdom. The first level is the beginning. You learn what wisdom is, like listening to the Dhamma talk. So you find out what you have to know, to understand, to have in your mind. You should have the 4 Noble Truths. You should have the 3 characteristics in your mind. This is the tool you can use to cut off your suffering. The next step is to go contemplate about this 4 Noble Truths, about these 3 characteristics, until it becomes embedded in your mind, so you don't forget. And then when you have suffering, then you can apply this knowledge to get rid of your desire, your attachment. But if you have no samadhi, you might not be able to do it, because the mind is still stubborn. It's still strongly influenced by your defilements. So that's why you have to have your mind to have samadhi first, because you will then weaken the strength of the defilements, and then you can then stop your defilement, stop your desire by using wisdom. So this is the third level. The third level is the wisdom that can cut off your suffering, destroy your desire, your cravings. You need to have samadhi first to support this wisdom.
So perhaps put aside the contemplation and at this point and kind of just really focus.
You can
on
do it
strong.
when you're not in samadhi. When you come out, but you generally go and think about other things, right? After you come out of samadhi, you start thinking about where should I go eat, what should I drink, and so forth. Try to minimize those thoughts and try to start contemplating on impermanence of things around you, impermanence of your body, impermanence of things that you love. But it's not easy because your mind don't like to think in this manner. It likes to think, where can I have something to eat? Where can I go and walk around and just release my pressure inside, my desire to go see things and hear things,
Thank you so much.
Lumpo, the question that I have is related to what Don just asked about. So Lumta talks about wisdom developing samadhi too, which I've noticed that for me personally is very helpful with the thoughts that may arise. The wisdom that comes with perception of the three characteristics of all phenomena, including thoughts and ideas and things like that, and that has really helped me with my samadhi practice. But then, how is that process where you use the mental states and defilements and understand the three characteristics in them, and therefore let them go, and then go into jhana? How is that process different from what happens after jhana when you contemplate? To me, it sounds like the same thing, isn't it?
It is the same thing. But the process of going to jhana, for some person, they cannot concentrate on an object, like a mantra like Bhutto, or using the breath to bring the mind to jhana, because the mind still worries about something. Maybe worries about a family, someone you love. Maybe he or she is sick and is gonna die. So when you try to meditate, you cannot keep your mind away off that person. So you can use wisdom to pull your mind away from that person by contemplating on the impermanent nature of that person. That person is impermanent. He's subjected to aging, sickness, and death. So now he is in the process of being subjected to that process, and no one can do anything about it. To worry about it, to wish that person will not be sick, will not make it happen. So once you realize with wisdom that he or she, that person is impermanent, that there's nothing you can do about it, then your mind stop thinking about that person. Then your mind becomes more calm, so that it will enable you to focus on your breath instead of thinking about the other person.
And then when you come out of jhana, you then do the same process again, but
Right.
now because your mind is clear from samadhi, that process will result in other things.
See, contemplation works in two modes. By doing the homework, preparing yourself for the eventuality. Then the second one is when you face the suffering right away. When you come out and then somebody start to attack you or cause you pain, and you become very angry or very mad, then you have to use wisdom to tell you that this is something that you cannot avoid, something that happens, and you should not get mad or get sad by this happening. The reason why is because you don't want it to happen to you. That's desire, see. But if you use the truth of anicca, dukkha, anatta, that the body is subjected to pain, whichever way it may happen. Once it is, all you can do is just to calm your mind and accept that reality. Yeah. So that's the way we apply wisdom to get rid of our sadness, our anger, or all of the bad feeling that arises from our desire.
Is there a recommended sequence in which contemplation should occur? In some texts it says that you should start by, after coming out of jhana, to contemplate the body first rather than contemplating mental states or sensations.
If you're not facing the problem right there and then you contemplate the body first, to let go of your body. And then you contemplate on feelings, especially the painful feeling of the body, so that you can let go of that painful feeling and will not be affected by. In order to really contemplate the painful feeling, you have to wait for the pain to arise, or else it will be just theoretical, it will be just imagining. But sometimes you have to prepare yourself first that this is gonna happen. One day you're gonna get sick and your body is gonna be painful. Yeah. And once you know that, and you know the way to cope with this pain is just to let it be, not to wish it to go away. Yeah. Face it with a calm mind. Yeah. Then there will be no suffering for you. But you won't know it until it really happens. So if you want to know, to test yourself before that actually happens, then you sit and let the pain arise and don't move and try to apply the theory to the practice. And if you can calm your mind and leave the pain alone, then your mind will not be affected by the pain. Then you know that from there on, you will not be, your sickness will not bother you. You can live with it.
And this is a very cognitive, kind of analytical
First
process.
analytical when things don't happen, but when things happen, it's real. So it's two mode. I'm saying, the first one is like doing the homework. The second one is to take the examination. So we are contemplating on aging, sickness, and death now, just to try to do the homework, try to prepare the mind to accept this reality. And when the reality happens, then you will find out whether you pass the test or not. If you just remain calm and not affected by aging, sickness, and death, then you know you passed the test. No one have to give you the score. You're the one who give you the score. You cannot cheat yourself. But if you haven't faced the reality yet, then you might cheat yourself. You might think, oh, I'm not afraid of pain anymore. I'm not afraid of death anymore. This can be delusional. Some people think they become enlightened by just thinking about being not afraid of aging, sickness, and death. But in actuality, they haven't yet met the real thing. But they just think that they can do it. You know. This is not true. You have to really face the real situation. Then you can be certain, be confident that you really have passed the test. That's why monk, like I told you, likes to go into the forest to where there are danger and things that will start to scare the mind, to make the mind fearful. And then if he can use the Dhamma to control the mind, to keep the mind calm, then he knows that he passed the test there.
Thank you, Ajahn, for taking time to answer our questions again. Earlier you talked briefly about dreams and karma. If one is to break sila during a dream, is there any meaning to that?
That means you break your sila when you're conscious. So it repeats in your dream. It's true, you know.
It's true.
Yeah, because what you do consciously will appear when you sleep, when it appears unconsciously.
Another question, if it's okay. Considering generosity, of course, the feeling of giving without expecting anything in return is a very good feeling, great feeling. I think most of us understand that. When it comes time to loan money to somebody, and then generally it's a business agreement or with relatives or close friends, when it's time to unfortunately ask for that money, it causes some
conflict. Yeah.
conflict and discomfort
Yeah.
in the relationship. Any suggestions about that, please?
You should have collateral, so you don't expect to get the money back.
That's
If you
what I
cannot get collateral, then look at it as dana.
thought. As a dana.
Yeah. You might get it back, you might not. If you don't get it back, you're making merit. You're helping your friends or your relatives.
I see. And then one more question, please. In my house, there's an ant infestation. How should I deal with that, please?
Can you leave them alone?
I can, but they're in the air conditioner and stuff like this because we're not at the house often. It's in Thailand here, so when it's time to use the apparatuses or something, or when it's time to clean, or if we call someone to come and exterminate, so I'm trying to find a solution to without causing any.
Well, you live in the real world. Sometimes these things happen, and you can either choose not to use the air conditioner.
That's true. It's for my mom. Okay, thank you.
Live like monks. Monks don't have air conditioners.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. For my mom. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. You have any more question? เหลืออีกหน่อยภาษาอังกฤษ
Lampo, is there the metta from a fully enlightened being? Can that actually help a person with their karma?
Which person? The enlightened person? Or
No, another person, if it's directed towards somebody else.
Well, his metta will reduce the cause of that person to do more bad karma. Like if someone try to kill you and you don't react, you just let it happen, let it be, leave it alone. Then once that person have done what he or she wants to do, then he would stop doing the bad thing. But if you retaliate, then you will instigate a new bad karma for that person to come about. Yeah.
So the metta from a fully enlightened being can reduce bad karma from accumulating.
Future karma, future badness. Of his bad action, the Buddha said, once he had paid his debt, he will be returned and become enlightened as a Pajeka Buddha, a silent Buddha. See? But if he did not realize his bad action, then he will come back and keep doing the same thing again with other people. All right? I think that's about it for today.